Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if it's the first time you're visiting. Today we're going to be talking all about the newest fragrances in my collection. And I find these videos so exciting because I personally love watching other people's new in their collection videos, and I like sharing with you my new either favorites in my collection or new discoveries. So if you want to hear more, then please do keep on watching. The first fragrance that I want to share with you is from Memo Paris, and it is Sintra. And I have to say, I really enjoy the Memo Paris bottles. I've shared Madurai quite a few times on my channel, and it's very similar packaging. They look beautiful next to each other in my collection, but we're here to talk about the scent. Now, I am a huge fan of orange blossom fragrances, and I know a lot of other people are too, because some of the most popular fragrances in the community are orange blossoms. So what makes Sintra stand out? Okay, for me, Sintra is a little bit more green than some of the other orange blossoms on the market, and it is not overbearingly sweet. This is still a sweet orange blossom, don't get me wrong, but it's a little bit more subdued than something like Kilian's Love Don't Be Shy, and they are often compared, but I do think they are different enough to own both if you really enjoy that scent profile. Sintra is absolutely perfect for this season, so think spring, think summer. It's orange blossom, it's neroli, it's got some marshmallow in here too. It's a little bit lactonic, it's got some caramel. I think this one is absolutely delicious, and I'm so glad to finally have it in my collection. I know a lot of people already absolutely love Sintra, and I can see why. It's a beautiful, beautiful fragrance with incredible sillage, and the longevity is perfect too. Now, I absolutely love the greenness that's in Sintra. And I wouldn't describe it as a green fragrance, but it just has a green touch that stops this from being too sickly sweet and juvenile. Yeah, it has neroli in the top and petitgrain, and you get this kind of green, fresh leafiness. There's a little bit of fruits up top too. I believe there might be some mandarin, something like that. The citruses for sure, probably bergamot. There is a creaminess in here too. It's not as creamy as something like Oriana by Parfums du Mali. I feel like the petitgrain, the neroli, the bergamot, and all of the florals stop this from being a very lactonic fragrance. But there's definitely a beautiful kind of powdery marshmallow note in the base. You've got the caramel for sure that is throughout the fragrance. But in essence, this is mostly a floral, so an orange blossom and jasmine, a little bit of rose. You definitely get the neroli. You get a sweetness and sharpness, I think, from bergamot. And then there's that powdered marshmallow and caramel in the base. I think Sintra is gorgeous. It's definitely a great first impressions fragrance. So if you think first dates, maybe a wedding or wedding guest fragrance, those occasions would be very fitting. So if you love an orange blossom fragrance, I would highly recommend sampling Sintra. Memo Paris is such a classy brand, and yeah, I highly recommend this one. The next fragrance is another new launch from Une Nuit Nomade, and I'm sure many of you know my love for this fragrance house. I think the quality is absolutely insane, and I've spoken about Sugar Leather a couple of times already on my channel, which is Chef's Kiss, highly recommend. But I just received Love at First Sight in the mail, and it is not the first time I've sampled this. I tried it at Essence in Milan, and this one blew me away. I think it's very beautiful. Again, it's a very ethereal scent, would make a great wedding day / wedding guest scent. It could make a great everyday scent too, special occasions. It's just a beautiful, beautiful fragrance. Now, if you are a floral lover, then this one might be for you. It transports me to the most gorgeous garden. I am surrounded by florals, but specifically lilac bushes. This has a very prominent note of lilac, which I think is so gorgeous. It's a very, very pretty fragrance. It's so realistic. Like, I feel like I'm in a beautiful garden, as I mentioned, or I'm in a garden center buying some nice flowers for my garden, maybe a florist. This really is a spring and summer scent in a bottle. This is super pretty, and I feel like lilac isn't used that much in perfumery, but it is a note that is so special. It really would make a great wedding day fragrance or a wedding guest fragrance. This is everyday, this is signature scent worthy. There is a little bit of passion fruit in here, which gives it a zesty fruitiness, but it's quite subtle. I wouldn't call this a fruity fragrance. It just gives the florals a nice sweetness and a little bit of a fruity zing on the side. But what I mostly get is the lilac. Love at First Sight is actually a really good name for this because I feel like it's such a romantic fragrance. I think about the TV show Bridgerton when I smell this one, and I could just imagine wearing the most gorgeous floral dress, going for a picnic in the garden, and you're on a date. That is the vibes I am getting. Very pretty and ethereal, I've said that already. There is a little bit of greenness in here, but not too much, just the perfect amount to make this smell like realistic, fresh florals. And then there's also an ambroxan note, which will help with the sillage of this fragrance. But if you like fresh floral fragrances, and an extra bonus point if you like the smell of lilac, then I would highly recommend sampling Love at First Sight by Une Nuit Nomade. The next fragrance that I want to discuss is from Creed, and it is Virgin Island Water. And I've wanted this fragrance for so long, but the price point is a little bit steep for the longevity. This fragrance does not have the best longevity. I have to say that here, but I love it that much that that would not bother me. I would just respray this or carry a decant around with me. This is perfect for spring, summer. In essence, it smells like coconut water and lime, a little bit like a fresh watered down pina colada, and I am absolutely here for that type of scent profile. It is so, so delicious. Now, you might have seen this and thought maybe it was a masculine scent. It is not. It is straight down the middle. Beautiful, tropical, beachy, summer vibes fragrance. Very fresh, and it's going to leave you smelling incredible. I just sometimes go and smell it from the cat because this is zingy lime coconut water. That is what I get the most from the scent profile. But then I get a little bit of ginger, I get a little bit of ylang ylang, and there's definitely like a sugariness to this as well. It just smells like the most refreshing drink. You're on the beach or the sun is shining, you're around a pool, something like that, and this is just good vibes. I think it's an incredible fragrance. I will probably go through this bottle pretty quickly, but the longevities are not great. Just have to throw it out there, especially for the price point, but I do think this is such a good fragrance. So yeah, I had to mention this one in my video, plus it is a new fragrance in my collection. The next fragrance is Lalla La Rose by Whind. And if you follow me on Instagram, I recently did a collaboration with Whind on this fragrance. Now, I did not need to include this on YouTube, but I love the scent profile so much that I had to share this one with you. Now, whilst they are new at fragrances, they are not a new brand. They are very established and they specialize in Moroccan skincare, body care, and I think hair care too. And they've released 6 new fragrances, all of which sound incredible. But the one that stood out to me the most was Lalla La Rose. So that was the one I picked to do the collaboration with. And I am not disappointed in this one. So I started my fragrance journey loving rose fragrances, specifically sweet rose fragrances. So this, firstly, just fills my heart with joy every time I smell it because it's the most gorgeous sugary rose scent. But also, I love Turkish Delight. I'm a huge fan of Turkish Delight, specifically the rose flavored version with lots of powdered sugar. So the first time I smelled this one, I was instantly transported to eating my favorite Turkish Delight. I need to have a smell. Listen, if you like gourmand florals, powdery, marshmallowy, it's a big cloud of sweetness, there's lots of vanilla, there's rose. It is delicious, I have to say. It has notes of blackcurrant, lemon, it has a little bit of coconut water. It's very vanillic. There's a rose note in here too, of course. It's Lalla La Rose. And in the base, you have whipped cream, marshmallow, and cedar. What I mostly get from the composition is rose, lemon, whipped cream, marshmallow, and vanilla. I don't really get the coconut water. I think I get a little bit of the blackcurrant, but not too much. It's just a rose and lemon powdered Turkish delight. The whipped cream, I don't perceive as whipped cream. It's just very kind of creamy and soft and pillowy. But anyway, if you like your sweet rose fragrances, specifically marshmallowy roses, gourmand florals, vanilla, all of that kind of good stuff, then Lalla La Rose by Whind is super delicious. I'm not actually sure if they have a discovery set or not, but this one is delicious if you like those types of fragrances, and I am head over heels for Lalla La Rose. I'm definitely going to be wearing it a lot this spring and summer, and I just had to mention it in this video. It is a new fragrance in my collection, but it's also a big love of mine already. The next fragrance is from Jo Loves, and this one is Ebony and Cassis. And I don't think I've spoken about Jo Loves on my channel before. I've sampled quite a few of the fragrances, and some of them are big hits in my eyes. But Ebony and Cassis is very unique to the lineup. If you think about Jo Malone fragrances or Jo Loves fragrances, because if you don't know, Jo Malone is the owner of Jo Loves. There's a big old story behind that, but I won't go into it. Ebony and Cassis is one of the fragrances that has a real backbone. It's strong. It has great projection. Now to me, Ebony and Cassis reminds me a little bit of an enchanted forest. I know that's a bit of an odd association, but I imagine almost like a mystical forest witch. She's a good witch, by the way. She's in the forest, of course. She's in nature, surrounded by beautiful woods. There's like a mossy vibe here too. And then there's fresh berries growing, and almost reminds me of being poisonous berries. This is such a weird description, I'm so sorry. But the Cassis is very tart, fresh, a little bit green. It's ebony wood, it's blackcurrant. It's very unique, as I mentioned, in the lineup. It has some balls, it has some grounding. And if you love your woody fragrances, but you like it with a hint of fruitiness, but not a sweet fruitiness, it's definitely a tart, dense fruitiness, like poison berries, as I mentioned, then I would highly recommend Ebony and Cassis. I need to try this one out a little bit more. It is very new in my collection, but I of course wanted to mention it today. But it's definitely stood out for me from the Jo Loves collection. Next up, we have a new fragrance house, and they're called Brandt, I believe. I hope I'm saying that correctly. And this is Genesis. And I've had it in my collection at least 4 weeks now, and I've been playing around with it. And they approached me on Instagram to try their new fragrance with no obligation to post. And I've been playing around with it a little bit. And I haven't quite found the right time to talk about it yet, because it's quite a rich, dense rose and oud type of fragrance. And I feel like you can wear this in the spring, in the cool spring days or the cool spring evenings. But this to me is more of an autumn winter fragrance. It is powerful. And if you like your rose ouds, then I would highly recommend checking out this brand. There's a beautiful, beautiful note of saffron in here too. And the rose is pretty jammy. It's a dark rose. I almost imagine it to be like a dark red. Very bewitching, sultry, and sexy. There's a beautiful kind of rich yet creamy sandalwood note in the base. I don't believe there's actually any oud in here, but how I perceive this fragrance is almost like a jammy rose oud. And then you've got a little hint of tobacco. But for me, what is most prominent is the rose and the saffron. You're definitely picking up some of that sandalwood, which gives it a creaminess. And then there's just a touch of tobacco. It's not too strong at all. But yeah, this is a jammy rose and saffron fragrance through and through. I think this is a very sexy fragrance. I already mentioned that it's a bit femme fatale, 100% unisex, by the way. Anyone could pull this one off. But I just want to mention that this has the most amazing sillage and longevity. It's a strong, strong fragrance. And for the price point, it's absolutely brilliant. I think the packaging's beautiful too. I'm excited to see what fragrances they do in the future. Still very much playing with this, still very much a first impressions, because I haven't really had a chance to wear it out of the house yet, just because of the season. I personally feel like this is more of an autumn winter scent, but I would wear this for a date night and those types of occasions too. But yeah, that is Genesis by Brandt. Next up, I have a fragrance from Bois 1920, and it is Comme Lamour. And this is a very beautiful, pretty, angelic white floral fragrance with the most gorgeous florals in here. Again, another realistic floral. So, you know, I mentioned that Love at First Sight by Une Nuit Nomade was a realistic floral. To me, this one is also very, very elegant, very ethereal. I'm getting lots of buttery jasmine. There's freesia, there's lily. And if you are a white floral lover and you've not checked this fragrance out, then I would highly recommend doing so. This is giving me bridal. This is giving me first date. This is definitely signature scent worthy too, but you have to really enjoy your white florals. The first time I sniffed this one, I was like, whoa, this might be a little bit too heavy for me on the white florals. But as soon as I put it on the skin, it just transformed into the most buttery, white floral, elegant bouquet of flowers, and I just think it's absolutely stunning. It has a teeny bit of tangerine, mirabelle and black tea in the top, and then in the base you have some white musk, and I love the white musk in here because I'm a huge fan of those kind of powdery, musky fragrances, and I don't think this is powdery, but the musk adds a beautiful kind of cleanness in the base, so it's a very clean, cottony white floral. Very, very special. Haven't had a chance to play around with it too much, so this is a first impressions only. I will review it in more videos to come if you would like to hear more. But yeah, Bois 1920 Comme Lamour is just the most gorgeous bouquet of white florals. So I want to share with you Miral by Matin. This is a standout orange blossom fragrance. It has plum, it has pear, I think it has a little bit of orange too. Yeah, it's absolutely gorgeous. I keep saying gorgeous today. It's my word of the day. Really, really fruity. Almost reminds me of some type of candy, but I wouldn't say this is edible because it does have some beautiful floral notes in here too. I've just got spray all over the bottle, so I am sorry about that. But because of the orange blossom and jasmine in here, it stops it from being a very sweet, candy, fruity fragrance and makes it into a really wearable, very likable, fruity floral. There's also a little bit of tonka bean in the base and also some ambergris. But the notes for me that are most prominent is definitely the pear and the orange in the opening, followed by the jasmine and the orange blossom. To compare, I think this is a little bit similar to YSL Libre, but the EDT or the EDP version minus the lavender. So if lavender is a note you don't enjoy, then you might prefer this type of fragrance. Again, this is just a first impressions. It's very new in my collection, but it is a very nice, sweet, fruity floral fragrance with great sillage and longevity. So that was all of the fragrances that I wanted to discuss today. Did any of them stand out for you? Please do let me know down in the comments, and also do let me know if you do want to see more detailed reviews on any of the fragrances that I mentioned today. But what I most want to know is, what are your newest fragrances in your collection? Please do let me know down in the comments. I always love finding new fragrances from your recommendations. They are always so, so good. Please do keep them coming. But thank you so much for watching today. I hope you have a wonderful day, whatever you are doing. I hope to see you in a future video to come. Thank you and goodbye.